This dude, we've kind of already brought up his name once or twice just to give you a clue who it is. For all you wonderful fans out there that want to take a guess.
Little trivia
on who is next. But this dude is a former NFL running back who stood at 5 foot 10 inches and weighed 215 pounds.
That's thick too.
He played for the San Diego Chargers from 2001 to 2009 and the New York Jets from 2010 to 2011.
Yeah.
He was born in Rosebud, Texas.
Rosebud, Texas.
Where he attended Texas Christian University.
TCU.
Also known
Marcus
as
Canyon, the Frogs.
TCU. He was selected by the San Diego Chargers with the 5th overall pick in 2001.
These running backs get drafted high back then.
Back then they were, man.
Jesus.
Oh, back then the running back was the jewel position, man.
God.
Everyone wanted to be a running back. It was the golden charm boy to be a running back.
Golden Charm Boy.
Yeah, if you know what I mean.
I don't, but I like
Lucky Charms.
it.
But the golden Lucky Charms.
Luck of the Irish. Lucky Charms.
He notably set the record for most touchdowns in a single season with 31, my bad, in 2006.
31 touchdowns.
Yes.
That's a lot.
That's about 2 per game. That's about 1.95 touchdowns per game.
This guy said
Because there's 16 games.
See, he can't go to
16
Stanford.
times 2 is 32 touchdowns, but then he didn't have 32, he had 31. So it was kind of like he had 1.9 touchdowns a game.
So there you go.
So what happened is one game he only scored 1 touchdown.
I think Gronk could code.
Yes. So, and he was inducted, here we go. The same season in which he was named the league MVP was in 2006 when he had 31 touchdowns.
And
he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017. And throughout his career, he was a highly sought-after player in fantasy leagues. He holds the record for points in a single fantasy PPR season with 481 points. Julian, who are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
And what do you think of when you hear of the name, the legend, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jules?
What do I think of? I think of...
Hold on, let me answer this question. I think of the San Diego Chargers and why they're still not in San Diego and why they are in Los Angeles sharing a stadium with the freaking whatever other team, with the Rams, when they can be in San Diego still. Because when I think of LT, I think of San Diego and how he put that city on the map.
Dude, he really did. I think of just swaggy. I think of his dark visor. I remember as a little kid doing the touchdown dance. Like, he scored so many touchdowns. It just seemed like he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns every game. Like, and he literally did. Everyone was an LT fan.
I mean, how could you not be an LT fan? I mean, he was so elusive on the field. Like he was the guy that made you jump off of your seat, even if you weren't a San Diego Chargers fan, even if your team was facing his team, it didn't matter. You appreciated who LT was out on the football field. And what's so great about him is that he was so good in the passing game as well. He never had a 1,000-yard rushing season and a 1,000-yard
pass game guy
receiving, season. But like you said, he was super low key in that. And he had these 2 routes that kind of made him the player that he was in the receiving game. Yeah, we all know as him as the rusher and how he made everyone miss. Yeah. He had a solid stiff arm. He always kept his feet moving as well after he got hit. So that's kind of what made him break the tackle every single time, is that when you keep your feet moving, well, he was like the guy that did that the best. But what made him super special in the receiving game was that he had this seam route out of the backfield that I know you've seen it before.
We were watching it. He had like 8 of them.
And somehow Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers would find him every time going up that seam route. It was a mismatch every time he would go versus that linebacker or that safety that was supposed to be covering him. But then also right off of it, he had another route that would branch off of the seam. He countered it. And that's why it kept all these guys guessing. He was so quick, too, at planting his foot and breaking out of the seam that no one can get him on the angle route either. So it's kind of like you thought he was going to run up the seam, run up the hash, and boom. He was planting his foot, and he would just angle right across the field, and boom, the quarterback would just dump it to him. It was just an easy 10 to 15 yards or possibly a touchdown, because every time LT touched the ball, it could possibly be a touchdown because he was that great. But that's what made him great in the passing game, I feel like, because of those 2 routes right there.
He also had a fucking insane stiff arm. You saw him stiff arm like a lot, guys to the ground. You had a great stiff arm. Rob, what's the key to a great stiff arm? I wasn't a good I had short arms. I could never get my goddamn arm out there. I couldn't stiff arm. I've seen you stiff arm guys to the ground. I've seen him stiff arm guys to the ground. How do you stiff arm a guy to the ground?
Well, Jules, being stiff is always great. I can tell you that, man. It works in all aspects of life, especially on the football field. Oh, man. Oh, man. You want to be stiff 2 times in your life, and it's kind of contradicting itself because one is you're marrying a woman. That's the night you want to be stiff on your wedding night. And the other time you want to be stiff is when 11 guys are chasing you, which kind of contradicts about being stiff and when to be stiff. But the key to a great stiff arm is just feeling yourself, feeling strong at the moment, man. Just freaking feeling like no one can take you down and having that right angle at the defender. I mean, if he's too close to you, you can't stiff arm him. It has to be timed up perfectly. I've had a couple good stiff arms in my career, but it's because it times up perfectly where you can just reach out and boom, you can hit the guy. If he's too close to you or too far away, you got to be able to time it up perfectly. Yeah. But LT was so special that he could time up that stiff arm at the perfect time every time so he could get the guy off of him so he couldn't tackle him. So that's what makes LT so great.
Timing.
The timing of the stiff arm and the angle of it as well. That's what makes a great stiff arm.
Yeah, I guess I didn't have good timing.
Yeah.
Or short arms.
I don't think you've ever had a stiff arm, did you?
I didn't really have any stiff arms.
No.
I had one maybe in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But it was more the guy was down and I was stiff arming myself to propel myself.
But we're talking about a stiff arm, but what I loved about him as well is that he's just a shiver, man, out on the field, man. He shivered every defender and made them just fall straight on their face every game. At least 1 or 2 defenders every single game. He protects the ball well.
I don't remember him fumbling.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I loved about him that you love too is that he loved going airborne on the goal line.
Dude.
Talk about that, Jules. And talk about as a fan, like how you just love to see that.
Well, he used to do the jump man all the time. And I remember when we would install, what is it? It would be like something jump. Like we would throw on footage of LT jumping because he knew the perfect timing on when to jump, how to jump, the angle to jump, the direction to jump. And he was explosive as fudge. So like, it was just crazy.
I'm hungry.
It was, we were watching all his highlights and we watched like his top 60 play. He had like 6, 7, 8 of these kind of touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't like it was a one-time thing. There used to be a play where LT jumped over fucking pile. It was fucking remarkable to watch.
I mean, this guy was so good at scoring as well. I mean, obviously he would get yards, first downs, he would move the ball. But this guy was also obviously what makes you the greatest fantasy football player is that you got to score points. You got to get in the end zone because you can have 5 carries for 50 yards, but that's still only like 5 points. 1 touchdown's like whatever, 7 points or however the scoring goes in fantasy. Every league's different. But this guy had 5 4-touchdown games in his career. I don't think that's ever been done by any other player, but to have 4 touchdowns a game, I never even had a 4-touchdown game.
You had 4 3-touchdown games.
I did have 4 3-touchdown games. Have we ever had a game where we combined for 4 touchdowns in our career?
I don't know.
I don't think so. That just shows how
this game,
great LT was.
Dude,
did you have a?
I had a 2-touchdown game.
Versus
I had a bunch of I had 2 against Denver, 1 against Miami.
Well, I can't recall these situations,
I
Jules.
can't either.
Maybe if we did have one. If we did have a combined 4 touchdowns, it only happened once.
He had how many?
Maybe twice in our career, and he had 5 4-touchdown games. So just imagine how many 3-touchdown games he had. Imagine how many 2-touchdown games he had as well.
3 of them in 1 year. Oh my God, back to back.
Also, he has the most consecutive games with a touchdown as well. With
I remember
18. He's tied with Lenny Moore.
Yeah. I remember watching ESPN. They'd always have the LT update when we were kids. You know, you get the Sports Center. It was kind of like when Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were in that home run race. They had always, like, with LT, and he was on so many touchdowns, they had that, like, LT fucking race thing for the record. He got it, right? It was crazy. 31 touchdowns.
31
What's the next
touchdowns,
one?
bro. freaking incredible.
You ever meet LT?
I never met LT before, man. Actually, I know. I don't think I have, man. If I did, it was really quick in an event, but I don't think I did. Yeah, I never met him before, but I've only heard great things about him. And there's actually a key to his success.
What is
and
it?
you know about the key to his success because you worked with the guy that was the key to LT's success.
Well,
who's now the key to Tom Brady's success, or not now, but was the key to Tom Brady's success. He was the guy, that kept everyone healthy out on the field. You know who I'm talking about.
Alex
Jules.
Guerrero.
AG, baby.
AG.
Yes.
I think
before AG was known, he
Yeah.
was working on guys. Before he ever even met Tom Brady, AG was doing his work, that he was born to do. And he kept LT healthy throughout all of his years. That LT gave AG a shout out in his Hall of Fame speech. And LT, from what I recall, never suffered a serious injury in the game of football because of the work that AG does. So that just shows
Longevity.
Longevity. If you take care of your body, if you get someone it's football. You're going to get bruises. You're going to have scar tissue build up. You got to get that worked out. And LT was one of the few
Prehab,
that understood that. And he was lucky to have a guy like AG so LT can go throughout his whole career healthy. So shout out to AG for keeping one of the greatest running backs of all time healthy, baby.
Yeah, I remember AG always used to talk about him, like LT McCardinal, or who's the receiver? Yeah, Keaton McCardinal. What is it? Keaton
McCardell.
Keaton McCardell. I know.
Who had a long career and had longevity as well.
Dude, you got to have the body guy. And I mean, LT, he was fucking healthy running back. He didn't miss relatively many games. I mean, I actually tackled him, and I think I hurt him.
I was actually going to bring that up, Jules, because I have a bone to pick with you because he played for the New York Jets his last 2 years. He was so-so on those last 2 years with the Jets. I mean, unbelievable.
He still made plays.
Still made plays, but that was the year that you were on defense playing whatever position you played on defense. You were all over the place. No, you were all purpose on defense.
I was star.
Because you are a star, Jules.
No, but I was nickel.
That's why. Yeah, no, you're a star. No, you're not a nickel. You're a dime, if anything. Yeah,
I actually did play dime. I did play dime.
You're not a nickel, though. You're a star. Dime. You're a dime, and you're a star in my book, okay? Nickel, that's a guy like Amendola. His head's getting too big from Dancing with the Stars. I'm going to knock him down now. He thinks he's a dime, but he's a nickel.
No, he's a dime.
No, he's a nickel. His head's getting big, okay? He's a nickel.
He's a Dancing with the Star.
He is. You're right. He's a true star, actually. But so you tackled him a few times. What was that like, and why did you do what you did to him, bro?
Yeah, man, freaking, it's crazy. I that was my first game I played DB. They put me in the meetings that week. I didn't think I was actually going to play that week. And then I think we were winning a bunch at the end, or we had a 10-point lead, so they wanted to see what I would look like. We had a cushion. And I went in and they gave a ball to LT, opened up the hole. I went to plug it, and I went low on him because I'm fucking going head up with goddamn LT. And I ended up taking his legs out. I think it was his last play. I felt terrible. I loved him as a kid. I was my guy.
LT, I agree with you. LT.
I think we talked about it once. I've met LT like at some kind of function.
And LT was so loved and respected by not just the fans, but everyone in the NFL, all the players, that everyone was sad. Even though we were facing the Jets and he was on the Jets, like I was sad that LT went down, and like other players were sad LT went down because he was such a legend. It's so cool that you tackled LT. Not so cool that he got hurt on one of your tackles. I mean, but that was your first game. You were just learning how to tackle. Like you can't blame you at all. It was a fair hit, fair play. But how cool, like, to say that you just even tackled LT, one of the greatest running backs, one of the best.
Never thought about it.
One of the most elusive running backs of all time, too. Like, that should be in your resume that you tackled LT, bro. And you're an offensive player. Like, that's why it should be in your resume, because you can brag about that. Yeah.
I tackled Shady McCoy, too. He jumped over me one time, too, fucking Shady.
Yeah. Shady. I love
went down
Shady.
to tackle him again. He jumped over me because I went and got him low.
Great locker room guy.
Oh.
All right. Also, so we already know that LT, all-purpose player, can do it all. But one thing we didn't talk about is just how good he was at throwing the ball as well. I mean, he has some passing stats that is probably better QBRs than some of these quarterbacks of this year in a game.
He got 7 touchdown passes.
8 for 12, 143 yards he has thrown for in his career, 7 touchdowns, and he has 146.9 rating as a QBR. I mean,
damn good rating.
Sign him up right now. A lot of these
Damn
teams are
rating.
hurting for a quarterback. God damn.
Damn good rating.
Well, Jules, he wasn't 6 for 6 like you. He doesn't have 100% completion percentage. You do.
Yeah,
and your rating was better too. Your rating was what, like 150? I'm a math guy, so like 158.3 rating. Am I right?
Some say that's perfect.
Also, you had 128 yards you threw for and 2 touchdowns.
Some say that is that a perfect rating?
You are a diamond in the star.
Some would say
baby.
that's a perfect.
That's
rating.
a perfect rating.
I don't know.
I always knew you were perfect, buddy.
Yeah, but
you're one dude that is just perfect.
No.
Yeah.
Perfect 10.
Yeah.
Man, he was also a monster in college. TCU, Horned Frogs.
Oh, he's horny.
Wait, he had a 400-yard game in college.
Oops, I just took
Did he win the Heisman?
I took that the wrong direction.
Didn't win the Heisman. How is that?
Because
Chris Winkie.
Chris Winkie won the Heisman. I don't even know who Chris Winkie is.
I remember him.
I don't.
Florida State.
But I also didn't watch football like that growing up.
He played for the Carolina Panthers when he was like 30. He was like a rookie.
Well, what about his best game at TCU? I mean, it was ridiculous. It was better than video game numbers.
Yeah, he had 43 carries, 406 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Ridiculous.
God.
He should have been number 1 overall. Who was drafted number 1 overall that year? In what, 2001 it was? Who was it? Because what?
Michael Vick.
Oh, all right. You can't argue that. Can't argue that.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe he shouldn't have been drafted number 1 then. Yeah, Vick was the man. What a class, though. Michael Vick is the running quarterback who started the running quarterback position, basically. And then you got LT who freaking innovated the game as well. All right, Jules, we've been talking about LT for a little bit. What type of guy is LT?
I mean, he's had pedigree. He had almost the best single season fantasy. He had the best single season in fantasy for a pro. He had a 400-yard game as a college kid. I mean, he was drafted 4 overall.
4 touchdown games.
This guy, he's got 5 of them.
So in 5 games, he scored 20 touchdowns. Put it that way.
That's, a lot.
It took me 16 games to score 18 touchdowns.
Yeah. This guy's a full-blown on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Stud.